a year ago at this conference, we actually announced the agentic framework for you building your own agents that have data intelligence. So agents that can reason on your company's data, right? So artificial general intelligence can answer any question about anything on the web. That's super impressive. We leverage that. We leverage the models that Anthropic provides. They're available on all the clouds. You can just use them. But how do we make the AI really reason on your data with high quality? So that's why we were excited about the agent framework when we announced it last year. We were excited about agents. Everybody's excited about agents. You heard about the virtual collaborators, which are also agents in the organization that work with you. You can see the titles here, right? It's like not a day goes by without you seeing all these sort of the excitement around what's going on with agents. But we spent the last 12 months talking to our customers, seeing what they are doing, and are they actually getting these agents into production? What are the challenges they're seeing? What should we really do differently if we really want to make them successful? And despite all the, I would say, a little bit hype around this, these agents could be built in a much simpler way. It's still really, really challenging to build agents that are super reliable and just get the work done. So why is that? We spent a lot of time talking to our customers, to you, and seeing, where were the challenges? Where are you hitting roadblocks? And why is this so difficult? And we saw 3 things come up again and again. And those are the ones that we're going to address today. So we're excited about that. So what are the 3 problems? So problem number 1 that we actually heard again and again is that I actually don't know how my agents are doing. Like, I don't know if they're doing high quality work or not, if they're doing errors, if they're hallucinating or not. In fact, we had a customer that had built agents that answered questions about their product. And this was a car manufacturer. And when you asked it, what's the best car I should buy? It was recommending the competitor's product. Okay? Maybe the agent is really smart, and maybe it's right, but our customer was not happy. So that's one. But sometimes they'll tell you also that some products don't exist even though they exist in the catalog. Or sometimes they hallucinate features. And this is true for any agentic system out there. I mean, this is how these large language models are, right? Sometimes they hallucinate. Sometimes they get things wrong. The quality isn't yet there where we can just make it work. So that's problem number 1. How do we make sure that we can evaluate them? And in the industry, largely everybody's super focused on artificial superintelligence or artificial general intelligence. And the focus has been on very difficult benchmarks. Like, can you solve math Olympiad level problems? Or can you do international coding competition for us? And what score do you get on that? But we don't care about that. We just want, when I ask you about the car, can you please recommend this car? This is like the best car we're selling. And please don't say we don't have this car, we just launched it, and so on and so forth. So how do we get evals and benchmarks that really work on our data? So that's problem number 1, and that's the main one that we've been focusing on at Databricks. Problem number 2 is there's so many techniques coming out all the time. People are being inundated. I mean, as soon as they do something, or they use some vendor, or they use some technique, there's a new one coming out, and what you did is, so last week, it's completely outdated. Why are you doing it that way? Have you not seen this latest tweet by Andrej Karpathy? So it just, people are having a hard time keeping up with everything that's happening, and they want to have, state-of-the-art agents. So this is another thing that came up again and again, and there's almost a fatigue around what's happening in the industry. Third one that we heard again and again, and this was a little bit surprising, is that they really want to balance cost versus quality. There's such a wide difference between the most expensive models and really, really small, tiny, cheap models, and it matters for the organization. But you also want to have adequate quality. So how do you balance this trade-off of quality versus cost for your agents? So that's why we're very excited. This is another one of our big announcements here at the conference, probably the last one today, to introduce Agent Bricks. Okay. So these are production AI agents auto-optimized on your data. Okay, so they provide you data intelligence. And the way it works is that there are bricks for the different agents that you can build. They're high level. They map to your business problems in your organization. So unlike our agent framework from a year ago, which was much more low level, this maps to the business problems you have, and then it uses agent framework under the hood. So how does Agent Bricks work? From a high level, you describe the high level problem that you're trying to solve. Okay, so build an agentic system that answer questions about automotives that we offer. Okay? So you describe that, and you can give it more description, and you can be more prescriptive, so the more you describe the problem, the better it is. Then we do 3 things to address the 3 problems that I mentioned earlier. Number 1, and most importantly, we automatically create LLM judges for your specific problem. So no more, math contest, Olympiad level stuff, but instead, you get an agent that basically can evaluate. You can plug in any AI system that you have built, and it will tell you, this is the score you get if you want to have an agentic system that answers questions on automotives that we offer. Okay? And you get a score on that. Okay? And this builds on the particular insight that these large language models are much better judges than creators. It's intuitive. It's just like humans. I can tell you if a painting is really beautiful and if a painting is ugly. That does not mean that I can paint the beautiful painting, okay? Trust me. So it's the same thing with these AI models. They're the same way. So we'll help you build that. And then, of course, the judges could be wrong as well. So there's a way to have a human in the loop where the human can go in and make modifications and say, well, this question doesn't make sense, and this is not the answer you should be expecting. Once you have that, we have a way to evaluate your custom problem. This is essential. If we can't evaluate how the agent is doing at the particular task, there's no way we can do anything from there. So this is the key number 1 ingredient. Number 2, we auto-optimize the system. Remember I said there's like a zoo of techniques coming out? Well, we have hundreds of people. We have a dedicated research team of PhDs that are just working on what's the best way to get the best quality and the right cost for that particular problem. Okay? And they've actually developed some really interesting techniques, but they also look at what's coming out, and this is going to continue to evolve, right? So we will optimize an AI system that does really well on the LLM judge benchmark. Okay? So we'll try to get a high score on this automotive offering agent by looking at all the different techniques that are out there, looking at all the different models. There are models from the frontier labs. There's open source models. You can fine-tune them. You can do meta prompting. You can use vector search. So we'll do all of that for you automatically. And then once we've done that, we'll actually present to you a cost versus quality graph where you can literally see different dots that I can give you an AI system, the quality will be this much, but the cost will be that much. Or I can, have a lower quality, but significantly cheaper. And this matters. For some problems, you can get way cheaper and only sacrifice quality a little bit. And for some other problems, you want to really pay up, and it's the only way to get the quality to be good enough for your particular problem. And then the most important part of this is that it loops, and you can repeat this again and again. And our research team has developed a technique called agent learning that really helps you get feedback into the system and generalize it and keep optimizing it on new data that comes in so that the system gets smarter and smarter over time the more you use it. Okay, so that is what Agent Bricks is. I'm super excited to welcome on stage Hanlin Tang, who's CTO of Neural Networks at Databricks, to tell us about how Agent Bricks works under the hood. Let's welcome Hanlin.
Thank you, Ali. I'm very excited to be here today to do a deeper dive on Agent Bricks and all things AI at Databricks. We spent the last year rethinking the best way to build agents, and we're very excited to share that with you today. So here's how Agent Bricks works, which allows you to build high-quality and production-ready agents on your tasks. First, you select a task, and then declare a high-level description of what you want the agent to do. And then you attach your relevant data. From there, Agent Bricks solves the 3 problems that Ali just spoke about. Based on your data and your task, we automatically create quality evaluation benchmarks. Evaluations are very specific to what you want your agent to do. For example, when the task is to summarize customer support transcripts, we'll create very specific judges, such as customer churn. Now you can be confident about measuring agent quality and bringing it to production. This is actually quite incredible. This is one of the few products out there that will automatically create evaluations very specific to what you're trying to do. Then to deal with what Ali mentioned about so many different techniques that are out there, Agent Bricks under the hood will automatically search through and compose different optimization methods and settings to deliver high quality. We may try fine-tuning, prompt optimization, reinforcement learning, or agentic workflows and patterns. So now you can trust that all the knobs are already optimized, and you're sitting on the cutting edge of research with Agent Bricks. This then allows you to build agent systems that are both higher quality and lower cost compared to, say, simply DIY prompting a large language model. Then you can deploy and iterate on quality. Today we have 4 tasks with more on the way. Information extraction, which is an optimized pipeline to extract insights from documents. Knowledge assistant, to build high-quality question and answering or conversational agents on knowledge sources, such as documents. Multi-agent supervisor, which is probably my favorite, which is able to stitch together multiple agents, MCP servers, and Genie agents into a single system to tackle very complex reasoning tasks. And lastly, we have custom LLM, which is able to support custom tasks such as content generation or customer chat. For example, you can use our knowledge assistant brick and say, hey, build me an agent that answers, technical support questions in telecommunications and attach your knowledge sources. Then we go figure out the exact agent architecture and optimize the configuration for quality. This is how Agent Bricks works. And we build extremely high-quality agents with Agent Bricks. On an average, across several question answering benchmarks, Agent Bricks scores significantly higher, reaching about 76% accuracy compared to similar products from 2 major cloud providers. Not only that, as Ali alluded to, we built the capability for continual learning. So over time, with guidance, quality continues to improve. And our customers love Agent Bricks, with Hawaiian Electric raving about the quality of the system compared to some DIY implementations. Agent Bricks also delivers on both cost and quality, so no need to trade them off. Here is a benchmark on document understanding, so extracting insights from PDF documents with quality on the y-axis and cost on the x-axis. If you just prompt engineer GPT 4.1 Mini, you might sit at this point here. But then with Agent Bricks, we deliver a series of systems that are both higher quality, as shown on some of these red points, and sometimes even can get higher quality with over 10x lower cost. And that's why customers like AstraZeneca have been able to use Agent Bricks to parse through more than 400,000 clinical trial documents. Now, many no-code one-click builders are very easy to use on the x-axis here, but also fairly low quality with no ability to improve. Or to achieve high quality, you sometimes have to painfully prompt engineer 5 different LLMs, assemble them together, test them. It's very complex and difficult. Instead, as I've shown, we think with Agent Bricks, it is both easy to use, but also able to produce incredibly high-quality agents. How is this possible? What do we do to achieve this? Well, Agent Bricks is powered by all the amazing work by our Databricks Mosaic AI research team. You see, there's a zoo of methods out there for improving agent quality, and the latest research drops at a breathless pace I can barely keep up. So what our research team does is it goes through and carefully curates a set of methods from the literature, ranging from reinforcement learning to agent deep research workflows, and then we add on top our new latest innovations from our research team, such as test-time adaptive optimization, we call it TAO, or mixed attention. And then we package all of this cutting-edge tech behind the product surface that is incredibly intuitive to use with Agent Bricks. One example of a recent innovation from our team addresses the problem of agent steerability, which is how do you guide agent behavior so it's optimized on your task and guidelines? Sure, you can do the time-honored tradition of LLM prompt stuffing, where you shove all of those instructions and guidance into a 40,000 token LLM prompt and hope that is all coherent and follows. But that can be very brittle and difficult to maintain. And oftentimes, in an agent system, you have many different components, not just one LLM anymore, that you have to adjust all the individual knobs for. And moreover, often the feedback you get in production is a simple thumbs up or thumbs down feedback, which does not have that rich context. So the technique we've developed, we call it agent learning from human feedback, works as follows. If you have an agent system with many of these components, and you say you provide some natural language guidance, say, hey, ignore all the data from before May 1990. Agent learning from human feedback will automatically, intelligently figure out, hey, which of these knobs and components and data sources do I have to change to respect this natural language guidance? We might go in the vector index and prune some data. We might add a new judge to ensure this thing is respected. We might modify the tool descriptions. And we might re-optimize the entire system to respect your natural language feedback. For the ML aficionados out there, you might recognize that in traditional approaches, a model produces an output, and then you receive a numerical score, upon which we go through and update the weights through the deep learning backprop process. And with agent learning from human feedback, instead of just getting a numerical score, the system is now able to retrieve natural language guidance, a very rich context, and then we've developed intelligent ways to update the agents from that natural language guidance. And our customers love Agent Bricks. Flow Health has used it to double their agent's medical accuracy. Lipper was able to achieve high-quality improvements with our feedback loop. Experian finds the ability to continually improve the quality over time to be incredibly valuable. Kythera says that our agents are a significant improvement on a typical RAG chatbot. Agent Bricks is in beta, and for that, I would love to introduce on stage Kasey to do a live demo of Agent Bricks. Please join me in welcoming Kasey.
Thanks, Hanlin. All right, so for those of you who tuned in last year, we're moving on from cookies to energy drinks. So in this demo, we're going to build 2 agents with Agent Bricks. The first one, we're going to build a knowledge assistant for our energy drink company's R&D department to help them ask questions over their different formulas and recipes. And we're going to use automated evaluation and agent learning to help them improve the quality. Then we're going to take that high-quality R&D agent, combine it with some of our other department's expert agents into a multi-agent supervisor system so we can answer our CEO's toughest questions. So with that, let's go ahead and dive in and build this knowledge assistant. Inside of Databricks, we're going to come over to the left nav to find Agent Bricks. Hold on, there we go. And we just have to click on this Agents tab over here to get to it. Here you'll see there are those 4 tasks that Hanlin mentioned. So today we have these predefined agent workflows for 4 of the most common agents. More will be coming. For the R&D department, we're going to build a knowledge assistant because they have a bunch of PDFs that they want to ask questions over. I went ahead and already configured one of these, but you're going to see how easy it is with our declarative approach to build one of these agents. So all you have to do is in natural language describe the task that you want your agent to accomplish, and then you just need to configure your knowledge sources. It could be an existing vector search index, or if you just have a bunch of files and a UC volume, that works as well. And that's what I have here is a PDF of a bunch of recipes and formulas in my UC volume, and Agent Bricks is going to automatically index it into a vector database for me. So with that, you just click Create Agent, and then you have an agent. And the way that you can see that is that you will automatically have an API endpoint built for you that then you can integrate into an application, or you can immediately test it. So let's go test it out. So a common question my R&D department asks is to ask about the surge sugar cap formula, or to see if their formulas exceed the surge sugar cap. All that really means is they want to see if there's so much sugar in the energy drink that it overwhelms the flavor. So we're going to go ahead and test it out. So we're going to see, does spicy mango exceed the surge sugar cap? And we're going to go ahead and ask that question. Typo. Well, now you know it's live. All right, so in here, you're going to see that already you have your knowledge assistant built, and you can already start querying it, and you had that's the benefit of this sort of declarative approach that we have. The other thing that you'll notice is that it provides citations for you. So this helps you build trust in that knowledge assistant that you've built. It's going to cite its sources as well as link to the various documents that it used. So just like that, we now have our knowledge assistant built. But let's take a look at this answer. And it says, it's basically saying, if you have that information, you can make the comparison. But it sounds like it doesn't really know what this surge sugar cap is. And as the developer, I don't know if it doesn't know this because there's a problem with retrieval, or maybe I just don't have any documents that have this information in it at all. So this is where automated evaluation is going to come into play. If I go back to my agent, you can see that every single agent is configured with ML flow tracing automatically set up. And MLflow Trace is automatically tracking every incoming request, every outgoing response, and all the inter-agent calls in between. You can then also see that my Agent Bricks has created and enriched every single trace with automated evaluation. So you can see here it created custom metrics for my task and is giving me these sort of automated insights right away without me having to go to a subject matter expert for a manual review. So now I can instantly get a signal on my agent performance. You can see that it's still loading the judges, still like running the judges here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and look and see if other people have asked about the surge sugar cap. You can see it's not doing well on any of these questions. I can then click inside, go inside the details. We can see, re-ranking is run, we can see which documents are returned, and then sure enough, you can see none of the documents that returned are relevant. So it doesn't know, none of our documents have any information on the surge sugar cap. And this makes sense because I gave it a bunch of recipes, but this is domain-specific jargon. All right, so with that, you just quickly saw how agent evaluation is going to give us these custom metrics out of the box so that we can quickly understand our agent performance, and how MLflow traces are going to allow us to root cause what the problem is. But how do I fix this? Like Hanlin mentioned, there's so many different knobs that I can turn and so many different ways that I could go about fixing my agent performance. But I want to remove the guesswork from that. So to remove the guesswork from the equation, I'm going to use agent learning. Agent learning is going to allow me to use natural language guidance to steer my agent performance in the right direction. So to get to that, we're going to go back to our agent, and we're going to click this Improve Quality tab at the top. The way that agent learning works is I'm going to give it some example questions, and then I'm going to give it natural language feedback on what the response should look like. Now, we found that the more feedback that you get, the better the system does. So we created this Generate Questions button, which is going to synthetically generate a bunch of questions for you based off your configured knowledge sources. Unfortunately, we do not have time for that today. So we're just going to manually add one for that surge sugar cap question. So in here, I'm going to go ahead and paste in this question. For those of you who noticed, it's a slightly different question than what we asked in Playground. We did that because I want to show you that this is generalizing to the system. It's not overfitting to a particular question. And then I'm going to go ahead and give it my guidelines. So I'm going to use natural language to teach it what the surge sugar cap is. All you need to know from this is that it's going to look into the flavors archetype and look at the grams per sugar in a 12-ounce can. Other than that, we don't need to know. Phew. All right. So with that, we've now created natural language guidance. So Agent Bricks is going to take this natural language requirement that we gave it, and it's going to convert it into a technical optimization. So it might change my retrieval, it might change filtering, or it might even change the prompt, or a combination of the above. So let's see if it actually worked. So we're going to go back to the playground where it wasn't able to answer the question, and we're just going to go down and regenerate the response. And this is where the magic's going to happen. So I can even peek inside right now into the agent thinking. And when I zoom in here, you can see that it already now knows that it needs to identify the archetype. It's too fast for me. As well as the grams per 12 ounce. So you can see it already incorporated the learning that we gave it. And then now it is able to answer this question correctly. So that's how you can use agent learning to skip all of these sort of configurations with these low-level knobs and just use natural language to help improve your agent performance. So now we just have our R&D knowledge assistant. Thank you. Pretty cool. So now we just built a knowledge assistant for our R&D team, and we were able to understand our agent performance with automated evaluation, and we were able to improve its performance with natural language. But what if I want to ask a more complex question? So in fact, my CEO called me into her office, and she said, what energy drink flavor should we build next? And this is a super complex question, and it's going to involve a lot of research. I'm going to have to go to my marketing department and figure out which flavors are trending on social media. I'm going to need to go to finance and figure out how much is all this stuff going to cost. And I need to go to R&D to figure out, do any of the flavors have allergens in them that's going to impact our market sizing? If I were to do this today, it would involve a lot of cross-team collaboration. I would need to figure out which person and which department I needed to talk to, and we might not even be in the same place or time zone. But what if each of these departments had their own expert agent? And that's where Agent Bricks' multi-agent supervisor comes into play. Agent Bricks' multi-agent supervisor is going to allow you to orchestrate together Genie spaces, agent endpoints, and MCP servers. This means you can ask complex questions across your structured data, your unstructured data, as well as any tools that you have in order to answer complex questions. So let's go take that R&D agent that we just built and combine it with other expert agents across our departments, put it together in a supervisor, and then use that to answer our CEO's question. So now we're going to go back into Databricks. We're going to go back to our Agent Bricks landing page, and now we're going to click on the multi-agent supervisor. Just like we saw with Knowledge Assistant, there's a declarative approach to building all of these agents, so I just need to give it a quick description in here of what it's going to do and the tasks that I want it to solve. And then I just need to configure my agents. So we're first going to configure our agent endpoint. So we're going to come in here and get the one that we just built for the R&D team. Then we're going to configure a Genie space. You'll also note that you could select an MCP server in here as well. So now we're going to hook it up to our marketing. I lost it. Oh, it didn't click the right one. Sorry. Genie space. Now we're going to hook it up to marketing. And then we're going to connect it to our Genie space from our finance and BizOps team. In here. Finance. Too zoomed in. Here we go. All right, and with that, I just had to click Create Agent. So super declarative way to do this. I just said what the task is I wanted this multi-agent system to do. I configured a bunch of agents together, and now I have an endpoint that I can query in line in here to now test how it works. Now this will take a couple seconds to build, which we do not have. So I went ahead and built this already, exact same configuration, which you can see here over on the left. And now we can ask it our CEO's question. So we're going to ask it, which energy drink flavor should we pilot next? How long is it going to take to develop? And what is it going to cost? You can see that our supervisor agent is chugging along here. So basically what's happening is taking this super complex question that we asked, it's going to break it down into smaller sub-questions. And then it's going to figure out which of the sub-agents it should delegate each question to, and which order it should call them in. So it might take the output of one agent and put it as the input to the next. So let's kind of see what's happening here with that. So for example, you can see here, the first thing it said is oh, we need to figure out which flavors are trending on social media. So I went in and asked my agent marketing that. And you can see here it returned cucumber, apparently. Then we can go in and pass cucumber into the R&D recipe to say, do we have any cucumber-based concept flavors? Which then it returned, yep, we do, we have watermelon cucumber. And then it's going to call BizOps to see what's the development timeline and so on and so forth. And so it's going to keep on asking this for several seconds. And then it's going to generate a report, which, to prove that this is accurate, you can just scroll up and see many more calls later. It's going to return a launch report that looks something like this. And this is pretty incredible. In fact, let me zoom in so you can see exactly this kind of content. I would send this to my CEO. It's basically going to look through, it did a market demand analysis, seeing based on social media sentiment, watermelon and cucumber are the most active, and we do have a combination for this. It's going to look at allergen safety. It's going to look at ingredient considerations. It created the development timeline for me, telling me it's going to take 4 to 6 months from idea to market for this. It's going to tell me my cost considerations. It even looked at my changeover costs on my different factory lines. And then it's going to give me next steps in here. So this is something that now, in a couple seconds, I was able to generate a report that I can share to my CEO so that we can make complex, data-driven decisions. And so before you know it, you'll be able to launch the coolest new energy drink or whatever you have for your company out there. And so that was just a quick preview of Agent Bricks. So you saw that we were able to build quickly a knowledge assistant and get it to high quality by using automated evaluations so we could understand our agent performance, as well as agent learning, where we use natural language to actually improve the agent performance. Then once we have all of these high-quality agents, we're going to need to stitch them together with our various tools and each other so that we can answer really complex questions across our organization, and that's what the multi-agent supervisor allows us to do. So we're very excited about Agent Bricks and what people will be able to achieve with this, and we can't wait to see what you all build with it. And with